Hello, everybody. Everybody. Hello, everyone. This is Wellness Coach Charlotte back for another episode of One Word Wellness. This month, we are celebrating one of the awesome things we are celebrating is Black History Month. Now, this month, I specifically do want to pay tribute to Susie King Taylor, who was a teacher and battlefield nurse. And I found those things admirable. But before I go into that a little bit more, our one word wellness is emotional, specifically emotional regulation. In understanding and dealing with our own well being and trying to regulate our lives in a healthy way, in a healthy manner, we want to talk a little bit about that word today. Now, Science Direct, which is a review, the periodical, talked about researchers that they are focusing more on African Americans coping and struggles and building strategies as it relate to coping with the many stressors that come from oppression. Many of us have experienced some type of oppression, but however, not everyone has been related to the color of their skin. So it's talking about historically. So possibly if you didn't experience it yourself due to your color or due to times of slavery, you know someone that has experienced it, or you've heard the stories of people right in your family that have experienced it. So typically talking about emotional dysregulation caused by racism or discrimination as it relates to for a long period of time, and dealing with those emotions and how to deal with them in a healthy way, right? So with my struggle of dealing with emotional eating, I am aware very much so aware of emotional regulation and helping other people with that as well. Emotional regulation is simply control, although I don't like that word so much because when we don't have that control, typically we start to feel guilt and other type of emotional negative emotions. But being able to not just control, but identify, understand, and feel, and be able to feel in a healthy way. Now, there's a cycle which typically starts with a stimulus. In many cases, let's say, for example, it's an argument, which then triggers anger, sadness, fear, frustration. Then it turns into, here we go, the high intense arousal, it causes that emotional response. Adrenaline starts to flow. That stress starts to kick in, fight, flight, or freeze. Then there's some type of injurious behavior. Often it's self-injurious, right? You say self-injurious, right? Some people do take it out on other people physically or verbally or in some type of way, but a lot of times the most damage that we do when we're unable to regulate our emotions is we do more damage to ourselves. We do it with which is the next step, getting a temporary relief. Whether we use food, whether we use a substance, whether we use alcohol or some other type of negative experience, which temporarily immediately allows us to relieve that, or so we think. And then the cycle continues, maybe another day, another time. However, we are still in that cycle. So when we are able to healthily regulate our emotions or regulate them in a healthy way, we become more aware. We are doing things more like talking, sleeping better, talking to friends, family, counselors, therapists, coaches, mentors, people that can help us and steer us in a more positive direction and help to bring us into that awareness more often, so that we're not going from that argument or that conversation that may have been not so good or didn't go the way we wanted to anger, and then allowing it. And it's okay sometimes to get angry. It's okay to feel a little sad and frustrated, but then that high intense arousal is where the problem starts to happen, right? Because that's when we turn to something injurious in some type of way, or then we are taking it out on someone, which turns into, again, that temporary relief, which causes us to continue to do it over and over and over and over and over. And we kind of know how that works in our lives if we been on this earth for a while. So what it can look like is a type of aggression. It could be some type of aggression. Again, sometimes we're aggressive towards ourselves. We don't speak to ourselves that nice, right? We're not saying nice things to ourselves on the inside. Our thoughts are not very positive in the way we feel about ourselves. We can bring on a lot of other feelings, right? But again, one of the negative ways that I dealt with a lot and help people with is because how it affects their bodies as it relates to nutrition and also their overall life from the inside out, right? Whole wellness. So one thing that I really admired about Susie King Taylor, in addition to her being a teacher and a battlefield nurse, she secretly educated and tutored other soldiers, African American soldiers. She herself was secretly tutored and educated. And then she eventually went on to become the first Black teacher to openly educate, right? So over time, I'm sure there must have been lots of intense emotions, lots of struggles, lots of intense arousal, lots of anger, lots of frustrate, lots of hard conversations or maybe arguments. However, we know from just me reading her story, we know and understand that there must have been a really high level of emotional regulation to be able to come from a state of oppression, sneaking to get educated, to learn and to do things, and then be able to bring that and help others, right? It sounds really simple, like all this stuff happened, but we know through process, there was a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows, roller coasters, fears, doubt, confusion, anger, all these other things. However, she was able to persevere and still regulate her emotions to allow her to be successful. We know when we don't regulate our emotions or do not have that healthy way of regulating our emotions, being aware, sometimes that can cause our life to go in a more negative way, right? You're already being oppressed, you're already going through stuff, so it turns even more negative, right? But we want to be thankful and we want to congratulate all of our pioneers that have paved the way for many people of color and just say to everyone, Happy Black History Month.